Hello, Matty coming at you with our second episode of our Dungeon Let's Play series. And at my wife's suggestions, she said that I should go healer this dungeon. Oh dear. Oh dear. So I've chosen Astrologian to go as this time. So what did we decide on? Orb, globe, whatever. But the Tam-Tara Deepcroft. Since its establishment during Galmoran times, this subterranean crypt has been used for generations as a final resting place for the remains of rulers and nobles. Since the calamity, however, the tunnels have become overrun with the Lambs of Dalamut, a deadly cult who worships the now fallen satellite as their saviour. It is in the Deepcroft that these twisted souls silently plot revenge against those who fought to prevent the advent of Dalamut, summoning any dark presence who will aid them to this end, no matter what the cost. So, I remembered where this one was. This one is in the Central Shroud. So let's go to the dungeon now. And hop on a mount and let's go over to it. Don't ask why a shark can fly. I don't know the answer to that one. Final Fantasy has flying sharks. Beats me. Oh, there's somebody on the ground down there who hasn't learned how to fly yet. That's cute. Well, here we go, down here into the Tam-Tara Deepcroft. And there is the dungeon. And with me healing, there's going to be no problem of waiting for a queue time this time. Healers and tanks always get fast queues. So here we go, let's enter and insta-pop. There you go. So, second dungeon, second episode, let's go. The Tam-Tara Deepcroft. So for the second dungeon in a run, we've got some new people again, including a new tank again as well, who does some smaller pulls. Same as the last episode, doesn't matter, go at their pace. As they went through the dungeon, I think they realised that I was able to relatively heal them okay, so started to pull a little bit more rather than one mob at a time. But healing is not one of my fortes in the game. My wife and my daughter are both a lot better healers than what I am. I heal when I have to, and that's about it, but for the sake of this Let's Play series, I do need to do every single job at some point. I'm dreading Scholar when I get to that, because I haven't played Scholar in about 4 years, so that's going to go interesting. But the tank is starting to pull a little bit more, so I'm spamming Malefic, which is the healer's, or the Astrologian, should I say, DPS move, so I'm just spelling? No, I'm not spelling, I'm spamming Malefic whilst throwing some cures on the tank at the same time. So whilst we just go through this dungeon, I'll give a brief overview of what the Astrologian is. So the Astrologian was a job that was introduced in Heavensward. It was not a starting class of the game. Nor was Machinist in the last episode actually. Both Machinist and Astrologian were both added in Heavensward. And whilst Machinist was the range DPS, the Astrologian is the healer who uses the globe, orb, and uses like the stars and the signs and things like that for healing. So later on, as you level up the job, you get cards and you draw cards and you put cards on players, so it'll be cards that increase range DPS or cards that will increase a tank's defense or damage. I'm not all up on that. I'm sure I will have comments down below telling me, no Matty, this is exactly how the Astrologian works and you need to use this card on this person at this point. But I don't know any of that because I just throw cards on whoever. And throw some heals in every now and then. It'll do. My philosophy is, so long as no one's dying, it's all good. It's fine, don't worry about it. I might occasionally forget to heal the tank, which I do in this dungeon and very almost let him die on the last boss, but no, it's fine. As long as everyone's alive, that's all that matters. I don't use healers in high-end raids or high trials or anything like that, so it's fine for a dungeon. Just smile and wave, it's all good. So, here we are about to go into the first boss. Again, I say boss. It's just spam it down. Apologies for that strange noise then. I swear my dog is trying to sabotage my YouTube videos. He's now decided to go and get a bone out of his box and start chewing it right next to me. Didn't you, Loki? So I have a black lab called Loki, who's 4 years old. And, like the name, he is a bit mischievous. Loki, dog of mischief. But here we go. Back to Final Fantasy and stop talking about my dog. So just spamming this first boss down whilst throwing in some heals on the tank. So there we go, as we've killed the first boss, somebody just needs to interact with that orb to release this barrier here, and on we go again. So unlike the Satasha in the last episode, this dungeon does follow the normal pattern of mob boss, mob boss, mob boss. So the tank's now starting to pull a bit more, getting a bit more confident as we go through the dungeon, so I'm not able to throw in as much damage anymore and just focusing on healing him more, just throwing a couple of cheeky damages every now and then, but focus more on the healing. Just using a Helios there to do a AoE heal, which will heal everyone within range. Throw another cheeky damage in and heal the tank back up again. But good tank again. We've been lucky, 2 dungeons in a row, even though these guys are new, doing a really good job. So the tank got a com again at the end from me, spoiler alert. Again, just passing all this gear because I don't need any of it. It holds no benefit for me whatsoever. And here we are at the second boss. Pretty much the same as the first one, to be honest. So, same again, just spam these adds down, kill the priest, and then the boss will spawn afterwards. So, rinse and repeat. There we go, the same as the first boss. Somebody just has to interact with that orb to release the barrier. Just pass on all that loot again. And let's go and follow the tank again as he carries on pulling. So So the tank actually stopped in a second to start asking some questions. They were asking about what kind of experience do you get from these enemies. So I did have to stop and just reply with being a mentor. I want to do my job and help where I can. And with the experience in dungeons, there's so many factors that can be taken into consideration. It depends on what server you're playing on. So certain servers will give double XP for preferred, like if they prefer you to have a character on that world, newer players will get extra XP. And then if you're in a free company, you'll get bonuses from that, and then what food you've eaten, sometimes what gear you're wearing. So it's quite a broad question, is what kind of experience would you get from a specific enemy, because it will vary from person to person. But that's the reason the tank is currently standing still, because he's just asking that. So So here we are about to run past the last boss area, but we just have to go into this room first and kill the ads in there and interact with the orb so we can get that barrier down, so we can go in and kill him. But again, quite a slow dungeon again. Normally this dungeon can be done again probably in about 6, 7, 8 minutes, something like that, and we're currently on 12 minutes. But it doesn't matter, again, there's no rush. Just take your time, enjoy it, go at your own pace, generally. If I was tanking, certainly if I've got like somebody that I know who's healing, I would probably boss to boss, which is always fun, having about 20 odd enemies all around you. Keeps the healers on the toes. And it's really satisfying as well when you can pull it off as well. But just throwing a quick heal on the tank there while we just get rid of this mob before we can touch that rosary and get into the last boss. So in the previous episode I said that these bosses don't really have mechanics. They are just pretty much nuke at the start of the game. This one does actually have one little mechanic. He will tether himself to an ad, like now, and he will become invulnerable until the ad has been killed. Generally you don't need to tell people that, even new people realise extremely quickly. The second they're hitting him and they realise he's invulnerable and he's tethered to something. I don't think I've ever had to say to anybody specifically, you need to kill the ads, because people will realise quite quickly. And he just continuously spawns ads throughout the fight, so you just need to get them down as quick as possible. As a healer, just make sure you're focusing on the tank, keeping him alive. If the DPS are taking any damage, just throwing some heals on them as well. But the DPS were really good in this dungeon. I think I threw in one heal, that one AoE heal earlier on, and that was it for the entire dungeon. The tank used the limit break. Not sure why they did that, as it's not really needed. Tanks never limit break except for maybe one or two specific fights in the entire game. Excuse me, I'm sorry. Just choking whilst making the video. But yeah, just kill these final few ads and then just nuke the boss down and he is done. There we go. Even with me healing, that was easy peasy. Go figure. When I start healing, or having to heal some of these later dungeons, will be when it'll get a bit more interesting, because I just don't like healing. I can do it just about, but at a push. But there we go. Episode 2 done, second dungeon done. So thank you ever so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed the content. By all means, if you want to drop me a suggestion for what class you would like to see me play next, by all means do so. But stay safe, look after yourselves, and I will see you for the third dungeon in a few days. Goodbye!